Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and you are watching episode 3 of Mecha Hack Scrappers. This is going to be our third and final session of Scrappers. It's been a blast to run this game. We're going to do a quick recap here and then jump right into the action. So thank you for joining us tonight. So last time on Scrappers, the salvagers serving aboard the freighter, the Condor, escaped the destruction of their home vessel, the Gyre. They repaired their mechs, got a little sleep, and Kraken Omega attached an alien arm to replace the one that Crimson Mammoth had lost. Meanwhile, Galvin Widower, the commander, contacted a woman by the name of Thea Node, who leads the rebel organization known as the Terran Collective, trying to find a buyer for the CK-90 cruiser killer cannons they pulled off the wreckage of the Eclipse. On their way to the moon of Slipstar, where Thea Node waited for them, they encountered a drifting freighter that they quickly found out was set up as an ambush by a rival scrapper. They survived the encounter, though, and took all the fuel and all the other supplies off of the freighter and managed to get to Slipstar without any further incident. On the way there, though, they ignored a distress beacon from Neo freighters that were escaping alien invaders, which they later found out resulted in those freighters being destroyed. But on the fringes of Lodestar Alpha, you have to make tough decisions. On the moon of Slipstar, they met with Thea Node and the Terran Collective. They arranged a deal to sell the CK-90s to the Terran Collective and netted some additional salvage work with the Terran Collective, which appealed to everyone, seeing as how they no longer had a home vessel. But just as the deal was made and things appeared to be looking up for the crew of the Condor, the alien mechs attacked Slipstar, teleporting into the very hangar where they were waiting. The salvagers managed to fight the alien invaders off, but now they have some explaining to do. The broken moon of Slipstar glimmers against the backdrop of space. The tunnels, the arteries running through this thing, glittering like circuitry in a computer. A moon held together by metal. We zoom past the pylons, the structures, the tunnels of this place, finding ourselves at the core of the moon, where a cluster of hangars hold gunships, mechs, freighters. We sail past one of the particle fields that closes off this hangar, and we see the deck scuffed, burning, scorched by plasma. The ruins of several mecha lay here. Some of them appear human, others quite alien. In front of the crew of the Condor, Thea Node tosses a piece of alien weaponry. Explain this. She looks at you, Teddy.
Well, Thea, what exactly would you want to know about it?
It looks similar to that arm cannon your boy there is packing.
Potentially safe to say that they came from the same origin, wouldn't you say?
I think that's a safe assumption. What do you know about these things? What have you seen?
That they come out of nowhere, they blow the hell out of everything, and expect nothing to be done against them. Not that there is much that can be done. Our interaction with them was brief. I told you what happened. Skimming the details, albeit. Is that what you would like to know?
As much as you have on them. Our war with the Neo-Dominion seems to be at an end, but our war with these things starts today. I need all the intel you have.
I would kind of get a hold of Clank on the ship in our, database, if you will, and kind of pick up the star map of where we were when we were dealing with the dreadnought, and kind of, screen share, if you will, with her, and kind of highlight we were here salvaging the cruiser cannons. We managed to recover them, but it seemed that whatever destroyed the dreadnought was this entity, cumulative group of some sort of alien hive mind. The hangar was utterly destroyed, and in the center of the destruction was this alien mech. We figured, being salvagers, scoop up this hunk of junk and throw it in the bay as much as we can take the cruiser cannons and see what we can get for it. It was about 4.5 minutes after that it re-engaged with Viper. We managed to put it down, and I say put it down, we had no choice but to utterly destroy it, much at the cost of our own mechs. There isn't much more than that. They seem to bleed. I don't know if it's machine or some combination of organic and mechanical devices, but whatever they are, they're bad fucking news.
It's beyond understanding, but it does look to be some kind of precursor tech, or it has similarities anyway, from what I've been able to figure out.
Clearly the tech is similar enough to our own that you were able to interface that arm. Was that
I had to do a little
difficult?
bit of studying. Yes. Extremely. I had some files and data from back when I was in college that I was able to piece together of ancient tech. And with a lot of spit and glue, and look, it worked.
The sort of like veneer of anger that she's been maintaining falters for a second, giving way to admiration as you say that, Kraken. She nods to you. Well then, it seems that you four salvagers are likely the only people who have tangled with these things twice and lived to talk about it.
I don't suppose you're giving out awards, huh?
No trophies for this one, Teddy. You stick around long enough, though, there could be some credits for you. The offer still stands. You four talented salvagers. You're tough as hell to kill. Stick around Slipstar. Give me 24 hours. I'm going to find out what I can about these things. And then I'm going to ask for your help.
Very well. That'll give me time to speak with the crew. See how we feel.
Hank will set you up with quarters. You can shower, eat, do whatever you need to in the next 24 hours. My crew can see to the repairs of your freighter and your mechs here. That is, if you're comfortable with us fiddling with your tech.
I'll supervise.
That's admissible. Right then. Don't go anywhere. We'll meet again tomorrow. She wanders off, begins barking orders for people to start clearing out the wreckage, gathering up the alien tech for inspection. Hank, the big, burly engineer that you spoke with before, waves you over and brings you deeper into the innards of Slipstar, which feels more like being aboard a ship than it does being on a moon. The way the sort of tech integrates itself with the innards of the moon. He brings you to a set of small quarters, the quarters are no bigger than closets, but they're bigger than you're used to aboard the Condor. He sets you each up with your own and then points you towards, there's a common area with a mess hall just down the corridor. He makes sure that you all are set up in the comm system for Slipstar and then wanders off to see to his own duties. You guys have a day here to rest up, talk amongst yourselves, upgrade your mechs, do whatever else you want.
Well, how do you guys feel about this being the most coveted squad of salvagers on Slipstar?
Not too bad. Think we've done well for ourselves.
I like the optimism. But how do you think this is going to pan out? Yeah.
Less money,
Yeah, true.
but they don't seem like bad people.
No, and at least from this standpoint, it looks like we'll have somewhere to spend the money that we're getting. With moons dropping like flies, safe havens are going to be hard to come by. Especially safe havens with any amount of credits.
It may be worth considering that mercenary work in this war for survival may not be the best thing that we can do with our time.
I'm open to suggestions.
Well, I just mean that if we don't stop these things, then there'll be no one to get work from. And you know me, I like getting paid, but I like breathing more than I like getting paid.
Yeah.
You think these guys have the manpower to stop the onslaught of these aliens?
Do you want to lie or my honest opinion?
Never known you to be a liar, Commander.
There ain't a chance in hell that we're going to survive this if we stick around. But there ain't a chance in hell we're going to survive if we leave. I don't know about you guys, but there's something that feels a little bit better about dying in a group than dying by ourselves.
Yeah, with this many, at least we can give them hell. Take a few with us.
I don't know about you guys, that sounds damn good to me.
We'll give them hell as long as we've got breath, Commander.
And we could try and run. We don't know where these things are coming from. They seem to be able to jump at will to any part of the galaxy. So we don't even know that if we went far from here, that they wouldn't be there too.
That's a good point. You think we can stop them from jumping? That's the only chance we have of stopping them.
Is there
possible? Sure. Do I know how? Not yet.
Do you think you can learn in 24 hours?
If I had one of their ships, maybe.
All right, well, we can see
Listen,
what's
I'm good, but I'm not inventing warp travel good.
cracking. I'm not just stroking you here. I know what your capabilities are, but we're running out of options. We didn't have a whole lot of them to begin with.
Thea did say we're the best salvagers. Maybe we should try to salvage one of their ships.
Did the mechs warp onto the moon, Matt?
They did.
Okay. I can figure it out.
There's no actual pilots on these mechs, are there?
Not that we could see.
So even though they're warping in, we're not actually hurting them. We're just hurting their tech, potentially.
They're cronies.
It looks to me like the tech may be vaguely biological.
Yeah.
Well, Thea did say that they managed to salvage a couple of them. Perhaps we could take a peek, see if they're in better shape than the hunk of shit we got on our bay.
If I can take some of the engineers and maybe they even have some scientists here, we can look at how they might have warped onto the planet, onto the moon.
Well, let's get something to eat. Think about it. I'm going to tell you, Kraken, that's probably our best bet. Whatever info you can give me that I can put in front of Theo to put us on that track, that's going to be our winning ticket.
Who?
So the four of you eat, shower, take a moment to catch a breath, and then wander back out to the hangar. Once you're out there, you see that in no time at all, seemingly, they've cleared much of the wreckage off to the side. They're already commencing repairs on their own mechs. You see that there's several bodies laid out, covered by a tarp. Seemingly their own pilots that died during the battle. Hank is standing over a pile of the wreckage of the alien mechs, just kind of scratching his head. He's sitting there with a data pad, sort of pulling up some different holograms, trying to inspect these things and make sense of them, and he kind of sees the four of you approaching and sort of gives you a little up nod.
Hank, you look stressed.
Trying to figure out what the hell these things are. Can't make sense of it.
What do you know about anatomy?
Human or alien?
A human.
Well, here's the weird thing, and the thing I can't quite figure out. We were monitoring these things the whole time they were here in the hangar. Every time one of them died, blipped a signal out into space. Sort of a fail-safe signal. The thing I can't quite suss out, he brings up this, like, just impenetrable wall of code and blows it up as big as it'll go, shining out of his little data pad, and he begins scrolling through it. Here. This tiny little line of code here. Human DNA. I don't know how, but I think these things are human, or at least were at some point.
Hank, I think you might be been here on the dock too long.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, look at him.
No, I know, but I mean, there's lots of theories out there about what if we could upload ourselves directly into mechs, you know, take the pilot out of the equation, make the pilot and the mech one, right? It could be that these aliens figured a way to do that.
So, and you said that there's a blip as soon as one of the mechs went down.
Yeah, almost like an ejection. Like the pilot's getting sent back somewhere to get loaded up into a new mech.
Is there any way of creating some sort of field so that that can't happen?
Or perhaps some sort of virus to send back with it.
There's an idea.
We can try to take one alive.
Basically, all I can really piece together here is if they are sending back whatever is piloting these things, and they're not going to stop. We need to find out where they're coming from. Can we trace this message, this beacon?
I think I can. I
That's
think
what
that
we need to hit.
Thankfully, it's limited. I don't think they can go wherever they want. I think they need to have some sort of like node or station to be able to blip back to. I think that they are limited by distance, so you give me a few hours, I can probably trace it back, and I don't know, maybe we can think of a way to calibrate the shields, keep them from getting in, getting out.
I like your thought about maybe sending something back with one. Have a kind of like a little code that attaches itself when they blips back with it and affects them.
That's not a bad idea.
Tech is so much more advanced than ours. I just wonder if we send a piece of code, if it's not going to just be useful to them, as opposed to It'd be like an ant picking up a little tiny pebble and thinking this will stop the man from standing on me.
Well, I'm thinking more like parasite, potentially.
I read somewhere back thousands of years ago, who knows how long, colonies of ants could be infected by a fungus, override the ant, cause it to active the fungus's will, climb up a tall object, and once the fungus was ready to reproduce, it would pilot the ant over top the colony to spread as quickly as possible. Perhaps something similar.
There is
Perhaps
there.
these things being a little bit more biological in design isn't necessarily a good thing. Sure, the consciousness seems to be of a hive, but perhaps that is the weak link. The exploitable thing. We'll have to see what we can do with it. It's a thought. Certainly preliminary, of course.
It's a good one, though.
I'm gonna keep sorting through this code. Like I said, it's dense. I can't make heads or tails of it mostly, but there might be something there. If you can work out a way to maybe calibrate some sort of virus, like you said, I think I might be able to trace their signal, find out where they're sending pilots from.
Keep chipping it away, Hank.
Will do.
I think I would like to go see maybe like the resident doctor or some sort of physician. I imagine like as a space colony, they have kind of like a database of known illnesses that kind of plague, so they can nip those things in the bud so they don't kind of spread to an entire colony ship, if you will.
Yeah.
Perhaps, that person is who we need to talk to for at least a lead and what we could do with that route, if that's something we'd like to do.
Yeah, they I imagine they would likely have like doctors or even a couple of scientists here on Slipstar, and would probably have some sort of database for that sort of thing. Absolutely. So that could be a resource to you if you want to utilize that.
I'm gonna spend my time, as I say, trying to gather like any like people on this moon that have like training in like higher maths and like anyone who's like PhD educated, so that we can like look at these mechs and see if we can figure out how to warp. Like, it seems pretty crazy, but if we could just get everyone who's like well educated to like look at it and take it apart and see if it's even remotely possible for us to figure it out. I think there must be similarities between that and our FTL travel. There must be similarities with the tech and stuff. So
yeah,
it's worth it.
Cool. All right. So over the next day or so, you devote time to looking into both biological options as well as looking at the way that these things are teleporting. Over the course of the day, you find out a few different things. You find out that though the tech of these things appears organic, it is synthetic. It's grown. It's built. It has similarities with the human anatomy, but more so it has similarities with that old precursor tech that you first uncovered when you came here to Lodestar. You're not sure exactly how you can potentially infect these things, but you think that you might be able to if you hide something in the code. If you can put something in the code that might pass off as something that exists in there already, such as like lower functions of it, things like, its movement circuits and things like that, you might be able to slip something past into the code that could attach itself to one of these things as it dies. Kraken Omega, you gather some people together, a couple of scientists, some physicists, and some other sort of higher-minded people that have come here to Slipstar, either to work with the Terran Collective or to seek refuge. And you sort of watched the footage of these things warping in. You analyze the heat signatures of them coming in. You look at the energy readings, and there are similarities with the fulcrum drives that you use, but more so than anything else, the energy that these things give off, it most closely resembles the energy given off by the slip space rupture that you came through initially thousands of years ago to come to Lodestar Alpha. 3 colony ships went through that rupture. 2 came out the other side on Lodestar Alpha. That is the energy that these things are giving off. The next day, Thea calls the 4 of you, as well as some other higher-ranking officials in the Terran Collective, into a makeshift ready room. Little more than a hollow console set amid storage crates and steel benches. You all come in and seat yourselves. She calls Hank up. All right, Hank's gonna fill us in on what he found, and then it sounds like Teddy and his crew have some things they want to discuss as well. Hank, the engineer, walks up. He looks tired, bags under his eyes, his hair's disheveled, wearing the same clothes he's been wearing since you guys met him yesterday. I wish I could say I found out more, but here's what we know based on the circuitry, the code of these things. There's something human about them. The way they're built, the way they work. As I said, they use transhuman technology. I think they're uploading consciousness into the mechs themselves. They don't have cockpits. They don't have pilots. The pilots are the mechs, and every time one of these mechs goes down, pilot gets sent back to some sort of database somewhere. I managed to track the signal. These things are coming from the moon of Viridin. Here, it zooms in. Viridin, it's 1 twitch jump away, and it looks like they might have set up shop there. The cities there are currently being sieged. These things are coming up from under the ground, probably warping in to the tunnels beneath. This is where they're going. This is where they're coming from. They are limited by distance. If we can get there, we can shut it down. Well, we might be able to... If we get a piece of the teleportation technology, I think we can calibrate our shields to keep these things from warping in. Thea kind of nods at him. That's great. Yeah, well, the trick is going to be getting in there. There's a fierce fight going on right now. What else did you find? Well, I found out what these things are called, potentially. Scrubbing through the code, I kept seeing mentions of the One Mind, things called hierophants. But this here, Aeonic Primacy. That's what they seem to be calling themselves. Well, that's sounds like a pretty self-important name that they've given themselves. Teddy, your crew's been working. What have you found?
Managed to brainstorm a few ideas of what we can do. We've been working fairly closely with Hank, seeing what information we can glean from the wreckage that the mechs have left behind. Like he said, they're organic, or at least somewhat. Perhaps we could utilize that to our advantage. If they're organic, that means something can potentially decompose them or actively work against them. I suppose it comes down to a few options, and I certainly am not the one in position to make that decision, but we can put together some sort of retrovirus to send back with this blip that recalls the mech to base, or the pilot rather. We can see if we can utilize that code to blip ourselves in, maybe. Kraken, did you come up with anything with your research?
Did I? Was I able to figure anything out with like the brain trust?
Beyond figuring out that they are somehow utilizing the same energy that brought you here to Lodestar Alpha in the first place, that would be a pretty big revelation, and you're not quite sure what to do with that information, but it's like pretty staggering to think about.
Yeah, I guess I would explain that in a way that sounds very scientific, which my brain can't do right now. But I would do that sort of Star Trek thing, where like I say the very complicated thing, and then like give a very simple synopsis at the end. You know?
Someone has to go English, please, and then you do the simple one.
But my hope would be that I would say that warp tech is really what we need. If we can get the teleporter, like was suggested, not only could we maybe calibrate our shields, but we could get that tech for ourselves, and that removes a huge part of their advantage, because our mechs can stand up to theirs. We've seen that. So if we have a way to move the way that they move, I think that's the only way that we win this war.
And until that happens, the only way we survive is stop them from warping inside. They need to approach us from a distance so we can use those cruiser killers you gave us. Thea sits back for a moment. She looks at Hank. She looks at Teddy. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Hank already mentioned this, but the nearby world of Viridin, they're under siege. Now it's a Neo world, but there are millions of civilians on that planet, and I can't sit idly by while they get scorched. Most of the cities have dome shields. It's protecting them for now, but like Hank said, the Aeons, they're warping in from underneath, bypassing the dome. The cities are safe from the barrages, but not from the mechs themselves. She looks at you, Kraken. Based on what you said, do you think you can track the energy and find the teleportation module if we get you down there?
I'm pretty confident.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to land on Viridin. We're going to get out as many people as we can. We're going to give these Aeons a hell of a fight and distract them long enough for Teddy and his guys to get in and find that teleportation module. We do that, we can calibrate our shields, keep them from getting in, and maybe, like Kraken said, we can move like they do. Bring the fight to them. Teddy, I know you're not one of my guys. I can't order you around. But what I can do is promise you that you'll be paid for your work. This is a salvage job. I need you to get in. I need you to cut something free with welding beams, and I need you to bring it back to me. I'll pay you for your work, but it's going to be hot down there. Are you guys up for it?
Glancing around for like the confirmation that I'm pretty sure I had already received from the crew. I'm going to step forward and put out my hand. Thea, there hasn't been a contract to sign, but as far as I'm concerned, the Terran Collective is the last salvation for humanity. We're in it full force. You got us.
She grips your hand with her mechanical one. I think it's been a while since you made a difference, Teddy. How's it feel?
Let's hope it doesn't catch
Right then, let's suit up. We leave in 10. As you guys are leaving the ready room, Hank would kind of catch you by the shoulder, Kraken. It's impressive what you're doing. I'll be glad to have you.
You know, it's a real change being able to talk about this stuff and not getting blank stares, so it's pretty nice to have you around as well.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Be safe out there.
All right, get ready. We're going to come home with that thing. We need to get it going as quick as we can once we get here.
I'll be ready and waiting. The four of you head out into the hangar where the Condor waits, newly repaired. Clank is scrambling around on the outside hull, getting the last-minute things ready. The mecha, the 4 mechs that you all started with, these little more than cobbled together labor units, now decked out with weapons, upgraded with modules. They're getting pulled up into the drop pod of the Condor. It's strange to see them. It's only been a few days, but so many new scars, so many new tools, so many new weapons. You barely recognize them. Clank sees you all approaching. She's ready to go, Commander.
Good. We leave in 10. Viper, Crimson, Kraken, Clank, hell, you're here too. I don't say it enough, but god damn it, you're the best damn salvaging crew I've ever had the luxury of being a part of. Do me a favor and don't fucking die out there. Kraken, your motherfucking mech is about as tanky as it gets, but Viper and Crimson, I'm looking at you. A lot of this hangs on you guys being able to keep us safe. You are our guns on there. Kraken will take care of the mech or the transportation unit. I'll do what I can to aid you. You 3 are taking the helm, way more than I will be. Make me proud.
Those prime assholes are gonna wish they never jumped to our system, Commander. We got it.
Let's give them something to think about.
We'll give them some hell.
Other freighters begin loading up around you, and soon the engines of the Condor hum beneath you, vibrating the deck plates. You take off with dozens of other freighters, leaving Slipstar behind you. Thea appears on the holovid. You know that she's broadcasting to every ship, but it feels like she's talking specifically to you guys when she says, "We're taking a risk here, and this is probably the only chance we're going to get. The war gets won or lost today. We got some tough times ahead of us, but this is the battle that's going to call it. Let's get in there. Let's get some people out. Let's take as many of them down as we can. Broadcasting you, coordinates now. We're going to be jumping real close to the city. I've sent ahead communication. Hopefully they'll drop the shield for us, but we'll have to get in quick. They're not going to keep it down for long. Another thing. We're going to see Neos down there. They're probably going to be itching for a fight. And as much as I'd love to take down some Neos today, they're not the enemy anymore. They put up a fight, of course we'll defend ourselves, but the priority is the Aeons. Alright, everyone be careful down there. Drinks on me when we get back. And the holo fizzles out. Clank looks over at you, Viper. I got the Twitch coordinates. You let me know when you want to jump.
Viper looks to Galvin Widower there, waiting for the sign.
He would just nod.
Viper turns back to Clank. Let's go. Fire up.
All right. Everyone buckle your seatbelts. We're going to war. He pushes the lever forward. Space disappears out of the viewport. There's a blinding blue light. And then you're in Atmo, hurtling towards a city with a domed shield flickering over it. It is a war zone. As you're flying, you see these gigantic plasma charges hurtling past, slamming against the dome shield. There are thousands of mechs and soldiers charging towards this city. There's fire everywhere. Anti-aircraft fire comes out. Clank just barely sort of like initiates the boosters to get out of the way. From Viper Midnight, I will need a mobility check to try to avoid some of these shots that are immediately coming towards you.
So I rolled my number exactly.
So that is a failure. So the Condor is going to take some damage here. Luckily, Condor is pretty resilient. It's a glancing blow. Kind of goes off on the side. The ship rattles a little bit. Klaxon goes off. Weet, 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 weet. But you manage to right the ship. You're flying towards this shield at just blinding speed, and it's still active. And as you're about to slam into it, it sort of flickers and dies for a second, and you manage to fly in, and the city is before you. It's a fairly standard city, these big towering skyscrapers, roads going everywhere. It's sort of set up as a grid. The city itself, though, is a complete war zone. As Hank said, though the shield is protecting the city from artillery barrages for the moment, the Aeons managed to warp in beneath the city and come up through the tunnels beneath it, and they are waging war against the few remaining Neo-mechs that are down there. You see pitched gunfights all over the place. You fly over a few sites of battle. You start looking for a safe place to put the Condor down, and you see that there is a small sort of like mech factory with a covered roof that you think would probably be a safe place to put the Condor and disembark in your mechs. Clank sort of points it out to you, Viper.
Commander, I think we're going to land right there. It's not the best, but in this situation,
We don't have a lot of options. Put her down.
yeah.
You guide the ship in expertly, fire the retro thrusters as you get close, and fly into the factory. You see it's abandoned. There are half-finished mecha chassis all over the place, conveyor belts and winches that have gone silent. You set the Condor down and suit up, get into your mechs. Galvin Widow, is there anything else you want to say to your fire team before you guys disembark here?
I've already gushed on you, but you know the routine. We need to make it back here alive and with the salvage. It's not very often that you get to hear that the fate of humanity relies on some trash pickers. God damn it, let's go pick some trash.
The
Right behind you, Commander.
bottom of the drop pod opens out. Your mechs drop down to the concrete below. It takes you a moment getting used to the actual terrestrial gravity. You've been moving and fighting in zero grav for so long that your mechs seem to move a little more sluggishly, but you acclimate quickly. Over the comms, you hear Thea. We've set down on the other side of the city. There's a lot of Aeons here. We're giving them hell, though. Hopefully, we draw most of them over to us. Good luck, Teddy.
Likewise. Stay alive. I'll see you on the other side.
The four of you leave the factory at your backs. Kraken, if I could get a system test from you as you try to zero in on an energy reading.
Success.
It's close, a few clicks away. to the west.
All right, we gotta head west. I'll bring up an overlay and point out where roughly it is, or where exactly it is, really.
Viper, I want you to take point. Crimson, you stay with me and Kraken.
Roger that.
Viper, don't go too far. You're simply scouting. Report back.
Gotcha, boss.
All right, Kraken, let's do it.
Do it.
All right, so Viper, you're scouting ahead then?
I am. I think I will also activate my cloaking field
Okay.
as I go.
Can I actually roll that for you, Karen, just so you are fresh if anything happens?
Sounds perfect.
All right. My reactor's D8. Roll a 2. So we're rolling down to a D6, but I'd rather me have that happen than Karen. It's fine. It's all fine. This is going to work out.
This is going to be great. So you shimmer and fade from sight and set out a little ahead of the rest of your fire team. You move through deserted streets. There are wrecked, flaming cars, toppled buildings. It's clear that the fighting has been happening now for several hours. You're sort of coming in at the tail end of it, but you imagine it was a pretty fierce battle. You see many Neo-Mecha destroyed with these same sort of molten holes through the cockpits of these mechs. You move through the ruined streets and you find yourself in a large plaza. It's sort of this circular plaza with a small green park at the center of it. All of these cars parked all over the place, and there are these gigantic billboards, these holographic billboards that are just flashing these crazy advertisement images of like Blade Runner style, the off-world colonies and shit like that. You move into the plaza and you see 2 Aeon mechs patrolling. They are larger than the ones that you tangled with in the hangar. They are the sort of humanoid types with these sort of tentacles curled up on their backs, and they're sort of just and these cycloptic eyes are just, and you can tell they're just scanning for survivors. You see one of them look over, and there's a car sort of driving down one of the side streets, and it just points up and goes, and there's a distant explosion as it blows up the car.
Are they pretty much stationary, or are they patrolling back and forth?
Seems like they're sort of patrolling back and forth. They're not leaving this general area, but they're just sort of going around in a circle, looking down the side streets, occasionally looking up at the tops of these skyscrapers.
I think Viper would back, she'd watch for a little bit, and then she would back up out of their earshot before she would whisper link back to the team, telling them basically what she saw, that there's 2 of them there patrolling, looking for survivors, potentially guarding something.
That's what I was going to ask. They're patrolling rather than, are they guarding the area we're trying to get to? Or
they're sort of just in your
this
path.
Okay.
Essentially, you'd have to go a pretty far distance to not have them sort of detect your reactors, basically. So you either have to go through them or go around them.
It's just 2 of them, Commander. We got it.
Absolutely not. We should go around.
Crimson, I like the confidence. We need that right now. I think Kraken's right. We can't afford to fight 2 of these and not make it out.
We barely fought 1 before, and that was dangerous enough. And if we don't make it, then everybody dies.
Yeah, we need to do our objective.
There's too much riding on this. Viper, see if you can find some safer route around them.
Gotcha.
Find something that we can all make it through. I don't think Kraken or I, for that matter, are near as stealthy.
We could try to distract them, maybe, if you can't find a way.
If we can avoid that option, I'd really like to. We can't afford to be man down.
So if you're going to try and scout out an alternate path, Viper, go ahead and give me a system test.
That is a success.
You take a few moments sort of scouting out and also looking at a map of the city, and you find a path through a ruined street that has a toppled building across the path. You imagine you'd be able to climb over it or go through it fairly easily, but it's a fair distance away from these patrolling Aeons, and you don't think that they would detect your reactors at that distance.
I would kind of shoot those coordinates to the rest of the team, have it show up in their HUDs, say, here's a new route. I suggest we go this way. Should give us enough distance to not be seen by these patrols.
I like it. Let's do it. Crimson, you bring the rear. I'll take point till we get to Viper.
All right, so you take this new route. Are you going to meet up with Viper or keep her ahead of you?
Viper, as long as you think you're safe, I need you to keep scouting. We can't have any surprises.
Got it. Yeah, so she would keep going. She would wait a little bit to make sure that they're on the right path and that the patrols don't see them, and then she would start heading further.
Cool. So you guys bypass this plaza, head down this ruined street. You see that there's this gigantic crater sort of in the street and the toppled building around it. It looks like maybe something got through the shield and touched down here. Above you, the shield flickers and there's just this constant like drum of artillery fire, just and with each blow the shield flickers a little bit more. And Kraken, you especially know that the shield is not going to hold forever, and eventually it's going to go down and this entire city is just going to get glassed essentially. As you're moving down the street, following behind Viper, ahead of you you hear and you see a Neo gunship sort of soaring through the buildings. You see that one of its wings has smoke billowing behind it, and it's sort of pinwheeling through the air. And it hits a building right beside you. The building groans and begins to fall. I will need mobility checks or power checks if you want to just try and catch the building as it falls on top of you.
I narrowly succeeded a mobility check with 11 over 12.
So you quickly move out of the way, avoiding the toppling building.
Since I'm in the front, I kind of picture that I kind of just leap forward, or like a tumble to get out of the way.
Yeah, you sort of do like a mecha tuck and roll, just coming forward.
Destroy whatever asphalt street is beneath me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kraken ducks out of the way. It's less of a duck, more of a move out of the way. Probably crushes the nearby playground.
Yeah. Bunch of car alarms start going off.
Yeah. There's like an old lady like out with the rolling pin, like
And the Crimson Mammoth is not going to be able to leap out of the way and puts the massive forearms above them and is able to, with the alien arm, kind of push off the debris of the building falling right on them.
Yeah, there's just this cacophonous sort of sound as the building falls over, all of this steel and concrete just falling on top of Crimson, but he emerges unscathed. And there's just this massive dust plume from the building falling over, fire from the gunship crashing into it. You continue moving, and Viper, you scouting ahead, you hear weapons fire from up ahead, and detect reactor signatures, and you see in front of you, maybe a click down the road, there is 3 or 4 Neo Mecha, and they're behind this ruined vehicle, and they're just like popping up and doing little spurts of fire from their SMGs, presumably fighting Aeons on the other side of this. You can see the splash of the Aeon beam weaponry splashing against the barricade they're behind.
And are they in the direction that we are trying to get to?
They are, yes.
So, yeah, she would immediately call back. Got a team of Neos up here. Seems to be fighting. I can only guess more Aeon troops, but they're right where we need to go.
There's no bad people anymore. There's just us and them.
Think you can patch me through to them? Okay, like a relay comm system.
You can
I
definitely
reckon I can do it.
This is Commander Theodore Waltz of the Condor salvage team. We got a plan. Respond, if available.
There's static for a second. And then a voice cuts through. Salvagers? This is Bren, Commander Bren of the Neo Dominion, currently pinned down by invading forces. Are you here to pick our corpses clean?
Surprised as you may be, we're not scavengers today. We're the rescue team, in a way. How many bogeys you dealing with? We need to make it to their location.
Hard to say. Every time we put one down, another one shows up.
I figured as much. Look, I know we don't have a lot of ground to cover here, especially over comms while you're under fire. We need your help. If you expect to live, I hope you give it.
Give me a presence test.
This is the only check that I'm fucking good at. Yes. 12 over 16.
There's silence over the comm, and then Bren says, fuck it, what do you need?
I know you guys are pinned down. We're going to do everything we can to alleviate you. But we need to get to where the fuck these things are coming from so we can stop them. It seems they're transporting their troops from a location not far from here, a couple clicks up the road. If you can help us get there, we can take that technology that's transporting them in and we can turn it against them. As of right now, it's the only option we got.
You packing any weapons?
We got a few SMGs, some acquired mods, nothing military grade.
With your extra firepower, we should be able to cut through. Rendezvous at these coordinates. Coordinates pop up on your HUD.
Commander Bren, thank you. You may have just saved humanity.
Well, we'll see about that.
That we will.
So the coordinates he sent you are just up the road in a bombed out building.
Viper, you're not far. I want you to scout ahead, see what you can see if we can maybe get an idea of how many enemies we're going up against. Kraken and I, we'll get to the enemy, or not the enemy, the Neo Dominion. See what we can salvage with them. Crimson, hold us down. We need to keep your arm a secret for as long as possible. They're not our enemy, but I can't say that will be forever.
I was going to ask you about that. I knew you had a plan, Commander.
We have the edge as long as you're a secret.
I'll stay hidden.
to both the Dominion and these. Yeah. We'll need.
So, Viper, you're going to scout ahead and try to see what the situation is here. And Kraken and Widower, you're going to go ahead and rendezvous with the Neos.
Yep.
All right, cool. So, Viper, what you see, how do you try to survey this battle? Do you get up high? Do you try to flank around?
She would try to flank around a bit. Trying to pick at the most open ground so that I don't accidentally make like a noise or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can your mech is a little bit smaller than the others. You're actually able to slip through a few sort of alleys that, you know, certainly Kraken wouldn't be able to fit through. You manage to flank around to the right side, and you see that indeed there's on the other side of this this ruined street, you see an airfield, and the airfield is just swarming with Aeons, these two-legged sort of like hopping models, as well as the larger humanoid ones that you've tangled with before. And there's also on the other side of this airfield, it's hard to make it out because it's so distant, but you sort of like zoom in with your HUD and see what you can, and you see this grainy picture of this gigantic spider-looking mech that is just like slowly making its way across the airfield and will probably be within range in probably like 5 or 6 minutes. You can actually feel through your mech the like reverberations of its steps as it's walking. You see these 2 huge cannons on its back, and it's like swarming with smaller mechs all around it.
It's like, oh shit. They got a whole freaking armada coming down this way.
Convenient. Can you give me a number crunch? How many are we looking at?
There's this one massive one, and then she counts dozens upon dozens of smaller ones. This airfield is swarming with them.
Kraken, how eager do you think these Neo Dominion are to be giving up their lives for the sake of what we're doing?
For the sake of what we're doing, probably not so much. But for the cause that they believe in, they're always dying for that stuff.
Thank God. They're martyrs of anything. Dumbass Dominion. Let's see what we can do. And I almost picture like us moving into their position, the Neo Dominions at this point.
Yeah, you come around the corner, and a couple of the smaller Dominion mechs level SMGs at you, and then a larger one comes forward, and this is one of the night mechs. It's like fully decked out. It has a shield on its back. It's carrying a sword, and there's actually like a tattered cloak that's sort of trailing from this gigantic. It's like the size of like a gigantic flag that's sort of fluttering back from this mech. You can only assume that this is Commander Bren, and he sort of steps forward and does a little flourish with his sword and stabs it into the ground. Says, "Stand down, men. These are the salvagers that are going to help us."
Gotta say, you guys are in better shape than I thought.
We've held this position for a better part of a day now, but we're running low on ammo and even lower on morale.
Morale is something we can do something with. Ammo, not so much. What are your resources looking like?
Roughly a dozen mechs left, 100-foot soldiers, 1 gunship, though low on fuel.
I just got word back from my scout that they have a big ass machine moving this way.
We've been tracking it. It's got a reactor signature unlike anything we've ever seen. I don't imagine we'll last much longer when it gets here.
I don't think we should let it get here. We need to push. We need to push hard. Where we need to go is on the other side of that fucking machine. If we don't get there, everything's going to die. I'm not telling you to kill yourself, and I'm not telling you to run to your death either, but we need to make it there, one way or another.
I won't send my soldiers To die for nothing. What is so important on the other side of those Aeon mechs?
You notice they're coming up from the ground. They didn't dig their way there. They got an isolated teleportation unit that's sending everything in. We can get there, we can take it. Perhaps we can turn this tide against them.
And perhaps you can sell that tech to the Collective or some other middling faction out there.
Bren, I ain't gonna tell you that I don't make money off what I do, but there ain't no money when there ain't no people. And right now, Terran Collective or Neo Dominion, there's one thing that separates us from them. Pilots. Humans. The things that live inside the machines that bring us to life. God damn it. It's all we got left.
This sword-wielding knight, this gigantic mech, stares at you placidly. And then the mech goes, just does a single nod. Give me a presence test, Teddy.
4/16.
One of the other mechs over the comms. Commander, I don't want to just sit here and wait to die. If we're going to die, I want to charge forward. Bren says, all right. There's no rescue coming for us. No one's going to come pull us out of this mess. We got to fight our way through it. We'll carve you a path. I just hope that once you get what you're looking for, you use it to benefit everybody.
Promise only means so much, but you have my word.
The word of a salvager. Never thought I'd be going to war on the word of a salvager.
Ain't much better than putting the stake of humanity on it either.
All right, Legion. Let's form up. We're moving out. These dozen or so mechs, some of them knights, some of them squires, take up weapons and gather behind this barricade. Bren stands tall behind them, looking out over the airfield. A few bolts of plasma sail towards him, and he puts up his shield, deflecting them almost passively. We'll buy you as much time as we can. You gotta move quick. And damn it, if you can do something against that walking tank on your way there, I'd be much obliged.
We'll do what we can. Bren. I'm sorry. Commander Bren. Thank you.
Don't thank me. Just do your damn job. He puts his sword up. For the Dominion! They all come up over the barricade and begin charging forward, firing, waving swords around. What do the four of you want to do as this happens?
Jesus, you should have joined the Dominion, Commander.
The commander actually takes out his hip flask. Between you and me, I couldn't stand sending men to their death. We gotta move. We gotta move now. Let's go. Viper, what does it look like out there?
Did anything happen as the Dominion troops started to charge in?
The Aeons are definitely focused on them and are sort of closing in around them, firing like crazy. But the Dominion's also cutting through the first line of them pretty easily. Commander Bren is leading the charge, his sword just arcing and whirling, and he's slicing these small Aeon mechs in half and continuing to charge forward. His mech very quickly becomes splattered in that luminescent blood that these things spew, splattered across his shield and his sword.
They're making a good cut, Commander. It seems to be working so far. What is the big machine doing? Is it still lumbering towards?
Yeah,
the same
still
spot?
lumbering towards you guys, and it's getting pretty close. You see the energy readings that you're getting from it start to spike as it powers up the guns on its back.
Jesus, Commander, it's powering up its guns. This thing is huge.
Yeah, I'm getting signals from its reactor from here.
Guys, hurry.
We gotta move.
Viper, I know you managed to infiltrate your way that way around the flank, but is there a means for Kraken to get through that way without giving away our position?
No, the way I went was much too small for him. He's going to have to go up and over.
Kraken, think we can do it?
I know we can.
Damn straight. Crimson, I need something very risky from you.
Risky's my specialty, Commander.
I need you to flank the other side. I need you to get that attention off the Dominion, at least for a little while. Think you can fire that alien arm of yours at that spider thing? Just to grab its attention for a second and get the fuck out of there.
I've been waiting all day for you to ask me that.
Crimson, I'm not burying anyone. You shoot and you get the fuck away.
Roger.
Kraken, we got one shot.
That's not miss.
Let's move.
As you prepare to charge forward, we're going to take a quick break before we get into this. So we're just going to step away for a few minutes. We'll be right back to continue the action. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone. We're back. Thank you for sticking with us. So I'm going to have you guys go ahead and roll for initiative.
I keep forgetting what initiative tests. Is it mobility?
Mobility or system?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's a success for me.
Nice, all of us.
Yeah, so you're all going to go before the Aeons do. So, currently, Viper, you're a little bit away from the group, as are you, Crimson. So, Kraken and Galvin, what are you guys going to do?
Actually, if you don't mind, can Crimson, can you go first?
Crimson can absolutely go first, yeah.
Lay on some suppressing fire to kind of ease up the tension on the Dominion.
Yeah. So Crimson is probably at like a third point around this big mech, maybe. And so I'll just try to move to some cover and fire and try to fire towards the head of this giant.
Cool. Are you going to use that arm cannon?
I don't think I want to use that quite yet, but do you think that from what I'm seeing that submachine gun fire wouldn't really get its attention?
It potentially would if you hit something vital. Currently no one's firing on it, so you'd be the only one that's actively attacking it. So
yeah, so I think to just actively attack it, I want to try to just fire a submachine gun at it.
Cool, go for it. So this is a add. What level are you guys now? 3.
Yes.
So add. Sorry, 1 second. You're gonna add. How is this guy? Oh my god.
You wrote this game.
I did write this game. Where the hell is he? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. Oh, that's why. I was looking in the wrong. Okay, yes. It is 3 above you guys, so add 3 to your roll.
Okay, that is still a success. And that's going to be 4 damage.
4 damage.
With just a submachine gun.
Cool.
And I am taking cover.
Cool. You move into cover?
Yes.
Yeah, there's plenty of it. There's all kinds of down buildings and like broken gunships, semi-trucks with cargo on them, so you can definitely take cover.
Yeah. Good morning, sunshine. Over here.
So you kind of pop up and take a shot at this gigantic mech that is still pretty far away, but you see your shots kind of plink against it, and this spider-like head with all of these like visual sensors sort of hone in on you, and you get a little beep, 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 klaxon on your HUD as it begins to lock onto you.
Uh-oh. Caught its attention, Commander.
See how long you can keep it. Get the hell out of there.
All right. So that was Crimson Mammoth. Who's going next?
Is our plan to run across this place as opposed to get engaged with all these many mechs? Commander?
Yeah, I would say so. I think we're kind of just making a break through the cover that Dominion's kind of giving us and getting this fucking machine tyrant to look the other way. Just, I mean, specifically, Kraken, we need you to be able to get this thing, because I have every inclination that whatever reason, you're going to be the one that we need to disengage this teleporter. So
we're trying to run through as opposed to get bogged down and kill as many mechs as possible, right? Like,
yes.
I should be moving. Okay, so I'm going to move then over the top and begin like with the 4 spider legs, boom, 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 running, and I'm going to fire my missile barrage. So I imagine that the Dominion forces have like smashed into theirs, and there's probably like a line where they're fighting. I'm going to fire the missile barrage in the back of the aliens.
Perfect.
So we
Yeah,
got
and how this is going to work mechanically is basically like all the damage that you guys do. Like there's an infinite number of enemies, so you're not going to like wipe them out, but the more damage you do, the easier it's going to be to like clear a path through them.
Right, that's what I'm hoping for.
Cool.
So I'm just going to fire it sort of like long range, blind almost, at a location as opposed to at a specific thing.
Cool.
Just at the back of their line. So it's 4, 2, 6, and 3 is 9. 4 is 13. Listen, you know, I do words and numbers. So 13. So oh, I've been doing the power.
Let it be known that Kraken is the mathematical genius, not Lloyd Collins.
Yep, big difference. Success on my power roll. So yeah, he'll like be moving, and as he does so, he'll be like rocking around in his like seat with like the gyro stabilizing seatbelt on, so that he's able to like type without any issue. And then like these various vents will open up and fire missiles at the back of the alien line as he runs.
Awesome. I picture them like going straight up into the air and then just like crashing down on top of the Aeon line.
Yep, for sure.
There's these like just these beautiful blossoming explosions, almost like a carpet bomb, sort of along the back line of these Aeon mechs. You see the signature bright blue explosions as their reactors go up, and the Neo mechs continue pushing through. Commander Bren leading the charge. You see him smash his shield into one and then drive his sword into its body and then keep going. He sort of steps on top of it, lifts his sword up into the air, and keeps going. All right, who's next?
Widow, if you or not Widow, that's me. Viper.
You should probably go next because I'm kind of waiting.
Okay. Then I think I'm probably going simultaneously as Kraken, where he's kind of laying the suppressive fire on this line. I'm looking at whatever's in front of us to like actually build this hole that we're trying to get through. So I'm going to use my first action as a movement, and then my second action as just a attack with an SMG. And I mean, just for the sake of utilizing my mod, I do think my SMG is kind of attached to the shoulder attachment, and I'm keeping my left arm free in case I need to engage in like the auxiliary functions of my chassis.
Cool.
Just to keep that open and available. Man, power sucks, but I still rolled a 7, which is a success.
Yep, give me some damage.
Fucking 6 damage?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, you take a couple of these guys out. What does that look like?
So I think like I said, the left arm, which we've established is more of a utility function. It's also my salvage laser. This is kind of maintaining a closed kind of asphyxiation, whereas my right arm is helping me maneuver through the debris, and then the shoulder mounted SMG is kind of just like kind of Predator style, like auto targeting, like as these things kind of pop their heads up.
I love that. All right, Viper.
You guys are still a ways away from my position, aren't you? It'll take you a while to get there. I think what Viper will do at this point is she's going to also try to help clear some way, the way for you. So she's going to attack and then second action recloak. So I'm going to attack and hit him. I'm going to the big mech. How far away is it from me?
So it is far distance. So
far. Okay, I can't do that far.
Two moves to get to it.
Are there ones within near range?
Yeah, the whole airfield swarming with them, so you can find enemy without moving too far.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll stay where I'm at, and I've got these those thrown axes, so we'll.
Oh yeah.
One of those.
Forgot you guys got those.
Okay, so I have advantage, but that's not going to help because it's still +3, right?
Unless so the spider mech, the big guy, is +3. All the other guys are you don't add any pluses. They're actually beneath you guys in challenge.
Okay, that's perfect then, because then I will succeed on that, and I will do 2d6 because of ambush. So that'll be 7 points of damage.
Nice.
And then I will roll my reactor die as... So Viper kind of... You see her, she appears. She throws this axe that kind of goes through the mechs, probably swirls around, kind of almost like a boomerang kind of effect as it slices through them, and it comes back. And just as it's coming back and she catches it, she disappears again.
Awesome.
And I got a 6 on my reactor die, so we're good.
Great. Okay, bad guys. So Kraken and Widower, I need mobility tests from you guys.
So just a quick clarification. You said that this giant spider thing is far from Viper, but it would be close enough for Crimson to hit. Where does that put us, me and Kraken?
So it's even though it's far, it's still within range of you guys shooting ranged weapons at it. It's not distant, it's far. So two moves to get to it, basically. So you're probably, I would imagine, like within near of Viper and Crimson, even though they're in different areas of the airfield. You could get to them with one move, but it would take 2 to get to the spider mech within melee range. But you guys are close enough to shoot at it.
Okay, yep, that's all I wanted to know. I failed the mobility check.
Success.
So Widower, you're going to be taking 4 damage as the beam spitters from these Aeon jump pods slam into your mech, melting part of the armor. And then Crimson Mammoth, I will need a mobility test from you. Add advantage since you're behind cover, but add 3 to it.
It is equal to my mobility.
Okay, so you're going to be taking some damage here.
Okay.
Oh. Hold up. Wait a minute. I need more mobility checks from Kraken and Widower as well. Add the 3 to it, please.
Still success. My ability is stupid.
All right. Anyone who failed is going to be taking 6 damage as these cannons on top of the spider mech raise up and go and just start firing these plasma shells, and they take out a bunch of the neomechs, and some of them come down, hitting you guys as well. Okay, we're back up at the top of the initiative with you guys. Who's going first?
Crimson take the lead.
Crimson take the lead.
All right, after the bullets kind of brittle up my armor, say, this guy's starting to annoy me. I want to move and then use my charging strike. So I think that would require 2 reactor die rolls, or just one for the charging strike and one for...
So technically you're doing 2 move actions.
Yeah.
So that would be 2 reactor rolls, because you'd have one from the charging strike and then one from... Or wait, does charging strike... I did write this.
Yeah. Yeah, charging strike requires you to roll a reactor.
So yeah, since you're moving twice, technically you'd have to roll again.
Okay.
So 2 reactor rolls.
I pass both my reactor rolls and deal 6 damage as I am just sprinting towards this giant beast, grabbing one of its spider legs and just pulling on it as hard as I can.
Awesome. Did you roll your attack as well?
Yeah, 6 damage.
Oh, awesome. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Sorry.
I was too busy trying to figure out how this game works. So you charge up to this spider mech. It has these like point defense turrets that start sort of spitting out at you, but you easily dodge aside, and you connect with the leg of this thing. And when Crimson Mammoth charges, you like get down on all fours and like charge like basically like a mammoth essentially, right?
Exactly.
So you just slam into the side of this spider mech, and you actually, it's gigantic. Like you could stand on top of this thing and have room to spare. And as you slam into it, it kind of like heaves to the side for a second and then slams back down on its legs, righting itself. But you definitely did some damage to it. Okay. Who's next?
Kraken, if you don't mind, I will go.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I picture we're still fairly close to each other. So before we have the opportunity to separate, this left arm, which had been kind of idle, kind of uncoils, revealing this, so similar to the alien mech in terms of tentacles, severely less nice, I guess. And I'm going to give you a reinforce. So you get a +6 to add to an attack roll or subtract from damage.
Excellent. I'm going to run, and then I'm going to...
Oh, sorry. I'm also going to move.
Yeah. I guess maybe I should double move. Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
You're going to move twice.
If you double move, I can roll for you in the reactor.
Oh, yeah, but your reactor is already down a bit, right?
I mean, I'm at a 6.
Okay, so am I. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Give him hell. Roll the 5.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to book it. Like the 4 legs are going to be moving incredibly quickly, and I'm going to go as quick as I can to try and get the hell out of here and do the mission.
All right, you charge through. I imagine you maybe toss aside some of the smaller Aeon mechs as you move through. The Dominion, they continue cutting through, but they're starting to sort of get encircled by these guys as they're cutting through. They're starting to get flanked, and they suffered quite a bit under the bombardment of the spider mech as well, so they're beginning to falter. And as if to coincide with that, the dome shield, is still flickering as the ion barrages continue slamming into it. Okay, so that was Galvin and Kraken both went, so now Viper, you were up.
Yeah, Viper is watching Kraken's progress there, making sure he gets through. So seeing that some of the Dominion troops are starting to get surrounded, she's going to, again, try and clear a way there to help Kraken and Galvin get through a little bit better. So again, where she wasn't, all of a sudden there she is again, and she's throwing that axe. Oh, I got a 1.
Nice.
So that's a crit. Is that what
that is a crit? Yeah.
Okay, so that will be a total of 13 points of damage as this axe kind of just slices through a whole bunch of these mechs. And
yeah, the axe like whoop, 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 whoop. And there's actually like Kraken and Widower, you're sort of moving through and you see this line of mechs in front of you sort of barring your path, and then this axe just comes whoop, 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 sort of flying through the battle, hews a bunch of them in half, knocking them aside and clearing the path for you.
And as the axe comes back and before she disappears yet once more, she'll kind of give a salute to Galvin and Kraken as they're going through. And I will roll my, got an 8 on my reactor die, so we're good.
Cool. All right. All right, you're hidden again, Viper. So I need 2 mobility checks from everybody. One of which add 3-2, please. Oh, no, wait. Hold up. That's not what I'm doing. 1 mobility test from everybody. Crimson, add 3 to yours.
Failure.
Fail for me.
Okay. So, Kraken, you're just taking beam spitter damage, so that will be 5 damage for you. Galvin, are you good? Did you make yours?
Sorry, yeah, I wrote it in the chat. I
Okay,
succeeded.
cool. I missed that. And then, Crimson, how are you doing?
Baron, I can take away
I failed.
D6
Okay.
from my damage. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Excellent. Nice.
So, Mammoth, you're going to be taking 7 damage as one of the legs from this thing rears up and slams down on top of you. Just
And
like
you'll just the like shimmer of kind of energy shield just and I want to use my exothermic shield to deal damage to it. I deal 2 damage to it. And roll the 4 on my reactor die.
Okay. Yeah, and when the leg slams down, there's like a secondary, like a piston that fires as well that does like just slams into your mech, pummeling it into the ground. Okay. Back to you guys. Who's up first?
I'm just going to double move again, so I might just do that. I'm just trying to book it as quick as possible, pushing smaller mechs out of my way as I go. And I'll roll my reactor. Get a 6.
So with the double move, you now have moved past the spider mech. So you see, you probably pass by Crimson just as he's getting shoved into the ground with this gigantic piston leg.
Yeah, it's tough not to stop, like skid to a halt and help, but like humanity relies upon success here.
Yeah, and the like tracker that you have on the energy reading for the teleportation module, like it's close. It's very close. All right, that was Kraken. Who's up next?
Kraken, keep pushing. Viper, intercept with Kraken. I'm going after Crimson. And I'm going to veer off, and I'm going to... Is Mammoth close or near to me without moving?
Near, for sure.
Then I'm going... You see, like, this arm still uncoiled from the reinforce that I just gave to Kraken. It kind of pulses again. And rather than, like, this immediate kind of tendril that connects usually, this is more of a, like... more of an artillery-looking shot of, like, radioactive light. Kind of beams from my arm towards the reactor of Crimson Mammoth's mech. And my reactor is good. Crimson, you can either add a 6 to an attack roll or subtract 6 from a damage roll against you. And I'm actually going to follow that up with some SMG fire. Failure. So this is, if anything, it's just me kind of firing blindly at this massive mech, is kind of in like the same area of this fire coming from my shoulder mounted SMG. This beam of light hits Crimson. We need you.
Yeah, the bullets kind of plink uselessly off of the thick plated armor of this spider mech, and that cluster of spider-like eyes just sort of swivels and reorients, locking in on you, Widower, and you receive the warning on your HUD, beep 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 beep, that you're being locked on.
That's right, you ugly son of a bitch. Look at me.
Awesome. All right, Crimson and Viper, you guys still need to go.
I'll go. My turn's probably fairly easy. With the double move, can I make it to where Kraken is?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay, then I will do that. I'll stay hidden at this point, but I am going to go up on Kraken 6 and be there.
Cool. Give me a reactor roll for the double move.
I got a 5, so we're good.
Cool. Yeah, Kraken, you see the telltale shimmer on your HUD that tells you that Viper is there, though she remains hidden. And Crimson.
I'm not dead yet, Commander. I'll charge up my gun, which is chest cannon, and fire. I'm going to. So you said I can add 1d6 to my attack. So does that mean I roll a d6 and subtract that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And with that, and I have to add 3 to attack this giant creature, right?
Yeah.
So with the two of those, I succeed and deal 7 damage and pass my reactor die, and that's with my chest cannon. So I think that pushes it back also to near, but it's giant, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, you absolutely do. Like it that you, and this beam just cuts right through the armor and then spits out the other side of this mech, and it sort of stumbles to the left, still standing, still operational, but you cut right through the innards of this thing. It spews out this blue fluid, almost like it's been a spider that's been gutted. Just.
And immediately after that, I will follow up with a charging strike, launching straight back into it, punching it as hard as I can. And that's a failure. But I pass on my reactor die.
Great. Okay. So let's start with you, Widower. I need a mobility, adding 3 to it.
Okay, so my mobility is a 12. The die literally rolled off a 12 onto a 3.
That's fate, son. The eyes on the head of this thing glow this bright, radiant blue as they are locked onto you, and then immediately spit out this like coalesced beam, and it cuts through the concrete right in front of you, trailing towards you, Widower, cutting this burning hole right through the ground. And then you manage to dodge aside as this beam cuts through, and behind you, you hear a like troop carrier getting cut in half with this beam. You imagine it probably would have hurt if it would have hit you. All right. And then I need mobility tests from you, Mammoth. Kraken and Viper, you guys are both beyond the battle, so you guys are good.
Failure.
All right, so you're going to be taking, let's see, 2d6. Ooh. I. It's gonna be 10 damage. I rolled a 6 and a 4 on 2d6. As another one of these legs slams down on you and then fires off that piston, pushing you into the ground.
Since I already used the d6 sent to me by Widower, that 10 damage will put me to 0.
Okay. Go ahead and roll on the disabled mecha table and see what happens here.
You lose the use of an arm. You cannot use heavy weapons.
So
I don't know.
He loses the control of his mech arm, not the alien arm.
yeah.
Or maybe it is the alien. Whatever.
Yeah, you decide, Philip, if you lose your other mech arm or if you lose the alien arm.
I lose the alien arm.
So it's almost like this mech identifies that that's the weapon that was able to do damage to it, and so it like pins you and it just crushes that side of your mech. You hear and you get like this painful jolt in the arm as it's just pretty much ripped from your mech.
Not again.
Why do I keep losing my arm? Okay. So Mammoth is down. You all get like alert on your HUDs that one of your squad mates is down. So we're back up to the top of the initiative. Let's see here. So Kraken and Viper, you guys are moving towards this signal. And then Galvin, Widower, and Crimson Mammoth, you guys are still toe-to-toe with this gigantic spider mech.
Commander, should I go back?
Go. No. Keep going. You said it once, I'll say it 100 times. I love Crimson to death, but humanity is at stake here. I'll worry about him. You get the transporter.
Roger, sir.
Her. I'll worry about her. Sorry.
He like punches the overlay where he like is worried about someone dying, but he's got to do the job. So I'm gonna keep moving.
And in a poetic moment, as you slam your HUD, the tape that Crimson Mammoth gave you as a gift for repairing his mech turns on, and the song starts playing.
Perfect. I succeed on my reactor die, and Paint of Black comes on. Nice and loud as I begin like running, continue running as fast as I can towards that destination.
I was gonna say "Jumpstart My Heart" by Motley Crue.
Yeah. You follow the signal, Kraken, and you end up inside a hangar on this airfield, and you see that there is a large hole, almost a crater that looks like it was sort of bored up through. In the center of this hangar, and there's a blue light emanating from this hole.
That's where I'm going. It's got to be where it's coming from. So I'm just gonna, I guess, like run and continue running, and then like skid to a halt at the edge of the thing, and like look down and see if I can jump.
Yeah, you can. It's not too far of a jump. You can actually see the bottom of it. There's like a tunnel running beneath this hangar, and you can see these like strange groove patterns, almost like a huge beam weapon was used to just carve out this chunk of earth so they could come up through the tunnels.
So I'll do my best to kind of like slow my fall with like the giant mech arms and the legs to kind of like punch my way down, but I will definitely descend into the pit.
Yeah, you descend, you land, and I imagine that the floodlights on the outside of your mech turn on as you find yourself in this dark tunnel. Viper, you too see this. You see Kraken get into the hangar and then drop down into this pit.
I think Viper will stay up top, not go down in the pit with him unless something comes out and attacks him down there. But she's going to stay up on top and keep an eye out to make sure nobody's coming this way. And if they do, she'll take care of them.
Great. Okay. Galvin, Widower, and Crimson Mammoth. Well, Mammoth, you're down. Widower, what are you doing? You just saw your comrade's arm ripped from him by this gigantic spider mech.
So when you are down, like, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Like, is the ability to come back after you're downed, right? I think you roll your reactor at disadvantage or something.
Yeah, so there is a way to do it where you can. Where is it? Here it is. You can reroute power. A player may roll a reactor die. On the result of the highest number on the die, they can take a single action. After this action, they immediately become disabled again and cannot reroute power again until completing a long rest. So basically, he's got to get repaired, or he can try this rerouting power thing to get another action before he's down for good.
Is it possible for me to repair him in combat?
I will allow you to try it with a system test if you want. Or, alternatively, you could do a presence test and basically just inspire him to fight through it and get back up.
Who would I be if I didn't try that? I'm actually sure that like I'm like smashing the button trying to get the comm link to fucking go. Like, there's nothing I can do to uplink the comms between me and Mammoth, but I'm just like, God damn it, Crimson, answer the fucking comm link. And regardless of whether she hears me or not, we got one chance. All of humanity is riding on this. You are not done. We are not done. Get up. And I mean, do you want a presence test? Is that what you wanted?
Presence test, please.
11/16.
So I imagine we see inside the dark flickering sparks, the cockpit of Crimson Mammoth, and we pan in on her face. There's blood coming from a gash. She hears over the comms, "Get up!" Her eyes fly open.
And kind of to coincide with that, I'm using battle tactics to give my action to someone else. I said get up. That is an order. And Crimson. I don't know if this kind of overlaps with the fact that you're downed, but you can take a single action.
Yeah, so Singa's eyes will open up and try to get her mech Crimson back to life. I'm sure the screens are flickering and try to just, with the arm pinned down, yank enough so that it just tears off.
Yeah, kind of like in tandem with this, I almost feel like Galvin has like just bear hugged this leg in his. I mean, I'm a salvage mech. I'm not a brawler. I'm an auxiliary support unit, and I'm just like servos are popping as like I am lifting with all that I can thrust out of my reactor to get you. And like you said, your arm is probably pinned and being ripped off, but I'm trying to like relieve whatever pressure is on the chassis itself so you could move.
Yeah, and so I can just get my arm ripped off and try to move out of there. Thanks, Commander.
Don't thank me yet. Get the fuck out of here.
So, what does like the result of that presence test give me?
Basically, I'll say that you're up again, just barely. If you get hit again by any amount of damage, you're down for good. But you've got enough power left in this mech to keep going until that happens.
Yeah. So, with the action that he gives me, I'll move and try to take cover as close as I can.
Cool. Yeah, you move off to the side. You find a place to hunker down. You kind of like just slump against this cover. Okay. So I believe that was everyone. Viper, you're staying up at the top of the pit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Does Crimson get an actual turn, or was this kind of presence test me?
Yeah, I mean, Crimson can have a turn. So Crimson, you took a move action to move behind cover. If you wanted to do something else, you could.
I'll just say, it's all up to you now, Kraken. You got this. Come on. And do my inspiring speech. Oh, wait, no, not close or near. Sorry.
And maybe I can only barely hear you over the comms because I'm like underground. I just hear like, I can't do it. Well, what's that supposed to do?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna hunker down.
Yeah, you do hear like kind of static laced fragments of a message, Kraken, but down in the pit there's sort of this strange stillness. Like you can't really hear the explosions or the gunfire from up above. It's silent down here and dark. Your floodlights fall across this strange alien architecture. You're not sure where you are, where you found yourself. This tunnel that you're in appears ancient, like older than anything that you've ever seen. But you see that blue light emanating from the end of this tunnel around a curve.
Yeah, so there's definitely like a sense of awe. He's become more and more like impressed and interested in alien tech over the last while. And like knowing that like there's something buried underneath this planet means that there's probably stuff buried under other planets. And like the sort of curious mind in him really wants to geek out about it. And then he like hears a oh god from above, and he's like, okay, well, I got to do the mission. And he'll like cautiously move down these tunnels. I guess like searching for energy readings and things like that, searching for any sort of like blips that might suggest where this thing is.
Yeah, you come around the corner, and the energy's off the charts. Like you're there, you found it. And as you move forward and look around this corner, you see that the tunnel opens up into a larger sort of chamber, this almost like semi-spherical chamber with other tunnels leading off of it. And in the center of this tunnel is this strange-looking platform that is ringed with like these columns. There's like one column on each sort of cardinal direction of this thing, and each of these columns is glowing this bright, vivid blue. And you see standing in the center of this platform is an Aeon mech, a large Aeon mech with tentacles writhing out. And it doesn't even look at you, but over the comms you hear, "Hello again."
Again?
We've fought twice before, you and I. It turns with the one mind. Death is only a memory.
This is how you teleport.
Yes. These were built long before man came here. We know their secrets.
I'm working on figuring those out. How come you have to kill us? It seems arbitrary.
We have to kill you because you are not of the one mind. You are not of us. We must be able to live unhindered by others, those who have not yet seen the light.
The galaxy is a very big place. You had to come here?
We were always meant to come here.
This is very inconvenient. It really sucks. I would love to learn from you. There's a lot of things that we could share. This is really unnecessary.
You have nothing to share with us.
You know, you said that death is a memory, so maybe I can remind you. I'm going to blast the missile thing.
Awesome. Awesome.
Let's see if I can do it. That's a success on the power. It's a 7. So, shouldn't be firing missiles at this expensive teleporter, but hey. So, 3 and 4. Ooh, good, nice. So that's 10. So 12 all up.
12 damage. Nice. Yeah, these missiles slam into this mech, this Hierophant that you've fought twice now before. The missiles slam into him and he staggers backwards. You hear over the comms. All right, then. We shall do it once more. Death for you is final.
Just you and me, he'll say over the comms, and then switch to quiet comms and be like, Viper, down here now.
Yeah, and that's Viper. You can take your turn now if you wish.
Absolutely. And as soon as she hears that, like the missile barrage and then the Kraken over the comms saying, I need you now, she's on our way. Will it take a double move to get there, or can I do a move and then...
You can do one move and get there. It's
okay,
pretty,
so...
just a drop down the tunnel and then it's sort of right there.
Perfect. Is that Aeon mech like close range at that point, or
with a move? I would say that you can get to near. If you wanted to be close, you'd have to do another move.
Okay, no, near will be fine enough. She'll throw one of those axes again. So as she drops down, and she'll flicker back into visuals and throw that axe. Am I adding anything on this? Or...
Yes, you are. Give me 1 second. You were going to add 1 to it.
Okay, so that's still a success. And she's going to do a reckless attack on this one. So I'm going to drop my AP by 2 to roll an additional damage die.
Okay, great.
The additional damage die that I already get. So that'll be 12 points of damage.
Damn.
From this axe.
Yeah, pretty significant damage between you and Kraken. Yeah, a few of the tentacles like are hewn through as you throw this axe. And again, the mech sort of staggers back, but immediately rights itself. Up top, Mammoth and Widower, what are you guys doing? You hear over the comms that something's happening down below. The comms are a little bit disrupted, but you can tell that that Kraken and Viper have engaged with something down below.
Crimson, are you free?
Yeah, I'm hurt, but yeah.
I need you to push forward. Intercept with Kraken and Viper.
All right, I'll do the best I can. So I guess Crimson will start to like limp his way towards wherever those guys are.
Yeah, you can get there in 2 moves if you want to do a double move on your turn and roll your reactor. Otherwise, it'll take you a couple turns to get down there.
So even if I move and then hide, that would also be a double move on my reactor, correct?
No. If you moved and then attempt to hide, that would be 2 separate things. So you wouldn't have to roll your reactor.
I think I'm just gonna push it, and I'm fine. I'm just
awesome. There's like 15 different alarms going off. Half your HUD doesn't even work, but you're still going. There's just sparks just constantly going off in your face, cables hanging down. So you drop down into the pit, and you are there, though you're not quite sure what's going on yet. All right, Galvin Widower, what are you doing?
Do I have eyes on Commander Bren?
Yeah, he is probably 1 move away from you. He's sort of slicing through the Aeons. You see that one of his arms is gone, the one that was holding the shield. It's sort of melted off by plasma, but he's still hacking into Aeon Mechs with his sword. You can hear him over the comms occasionally just going, "For the Dominion! Keep pushing forward!"
I attempt to reach him through the comms, and I almost figure like there's like some delay because he's received some damage. And so over the comms, I just, Commander Bren, you've done more than I could have ever asked. But I have one more request. We need to bring down this motherfucker. And I'm going to use a reinforce on him.
Okay.
To give him an extra d6 to attack or a reduction. And with my welding beam, I am going like this arm has been activated and I have reinforced, and just with like that cast or the leftover energy from the reinforcement, I am trying to like sear through like one of the joint servos on this thing's leg.
Awesome. Yeah. Using that salvager info, yeah.
And like as he cries out for the Dominion, I cry for humanity.
Awesome.
Fucking 2.
Awesome.
Oh, God, my life is so fucking cool. For fucking 6 damage, get fucked.
Yeah, like you cut through something vital. It's still standing, but you do some pretty severe damage. What does that look like?
It's similar to the fight with the Aeon mech that happened last session. Like, I am intertwined with this leg as I was lifting it off Crimson so she could get away, and it kind of like slams back down as my mech's not capable of withholding the tons and tons of weight of this leg and the pistons firing. And kind of like as it slams and my arms disengage, I kind of flourish, and this welding beam is already extending like off into, you know, the space, or ricocheting off the flickering particle barrier. And it's almost like a sword. It's not like a concentrated beam. I just, and it slashes through some like the servos and the connecting hydraulic fluids. And it's this bright flash of liquid as I sever into like basically the back of the knee of this thing. And I'm sure it coats me and the ground around me. Hive mind, you will know our name. We are the Condor, and we will defeat you.
Yeah, you sort of you hamstring this thing essentially, and even though it's a machine, the groan that emanates from it as its weight kind of falls on this broken leg, it sounds like a beast. It's like as it kind of stumbles a little bit, spewing, like you said, this blue glowing fluid all over your mech, sort of covering your windshield for a second. Awesome. And Bren, over the comms, says, "Acknowledged. I'm heading there now." And he sort of starts charging towards it. All right, it's bad guy's turn. So I need, let's see here. So he gets 2 attacks. I need mobility from both Kraken and Viper.
I failed.
I rolled a 20.
Oh my god.
Boy.
So
It's been a pleasure serving with you guys.
Kraken, you're going to take 6 damage.
Oof.
Viper, you're taking 12.
Oh.
And you need to roll your reactor as well.
Both of us?
I'm
no,
good with
just Viper, since she took critical damage. So the tentacles sort of band together, almost they sort of wind together, almost like the arm that Mammoth had, concentrating their fire on the two of you, and both spit out these high-powered beams. They both hit, but the one that hits you, Viper, sort of cuts through something vital, and there's this pop of explosion as one of your vital systems goes critical, and you get a whoot, 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 whoot on your HUD as you lose that function. Okay, and then Widower, I need a mobility test.
Adding +3.
Yes, please.
I got a 9 with +3 would get me to 12, which is my mobility.
Oh, so you're going to be taking 9 damage as another one of these legs swipes at you, sort of hitting you, hurling you to the ground.
The kind of like photophosphorescent barrier that is our energy shields, it absorbs most of my impact, but this leg kind of breaks through and does some external damage to my chassis.
All right. We are back to you guys. Who's going first?
I'd like to try something.
Yeah,
He's standing on the teleporter in the middle of it, right?
he is.
I'm gonna try and teleport him out of here. Why not?
Okay.
So I'm gonna like before I enter barricade mode, which is my usual. I'm gonna see that he's on it and like, why not try? And if I fuck it up, then he explodes probably. So or turns inside out or something. So like either way, so I'm gonna run over to like one of those like nodules you're talking about. And I'm just gonna like I'm certain that like Kraken Omega's mech has like a like an R2D2 sort of like insert
totally.
into a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to try and activate it in whatever manner I deem possible. Maybe that's just like flooding with energy or something, but
Yeah, and strangely, your mech interfaces with this just fine, and you realize like it's all the same tech. Like it's the same tech that we use to build the mechs here in this tunnel. So give me a system test at disadvantage as you try to do something that no human has ever tried to do before.
Yeah. All right. So 5, that's a definite success. 4, yeah.
So what is
I don't know if it actually works, but like,
what is it? I'm gonna. It works. What does it look like as you do this? Like, what do you do to make it happen?
So he like inserts the thing into the nodule, and I imagine like the readout of information is just like in this weird alien sort of text, and occasionally there's like a bit here or there that he can recognize, a piece of code or whatever, and it's like scrolling up, and he's like trying to basically battle the code as it's coming up, and he thinks energy, it's got to be energy, so he's gonna like pour a bunch of his reactor like into this thing to like activate it, and I guess like this nodule like lights up, and then like the next one and all the way around until they're lit up, and then there's maybe like some sort of like vibration and like a stink of ozone in the air, and then the and gone.
Yeah, and right before he goes over the comms, you hear, "What are you doing? No!" And then he's just gone, and there's this bright flash, and you and Viper are standing there alone in this teleporter room.
Learn from that. And I'm gonna like, now that I'm like plugged into this thing, like try and do the thing we're here to do, which is figure out how it works and take it with us.
Yes, yeah. So that'll be a system test as well, not at disadvantage, to basically try and glean what you're supposed to do with this thing.
Also really concerned that he's just going to pop back into the room, so like that's my big concern. Turn it off, I guess.
You've at least bought yourself some time, yeah.
Just unplug it.
Okay, so I did the thing again where I was like, fuck, it's a 1, which is great. But I was like, God damn it.
So interfacing with this thing, you see that it's some sort of battery. And you think that you can manipulate it in a way that you can actually pop it out of this pedestal and take it with you.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'll bring Viper over to show her exactly what I'm doing. Like the process of like how to pop it out without breaking it. And when she's like seen me do it, like we can move to the next 2 and do it and like take them all out if we can.
Cool. Yeah. So you've got one of them. You pop it out. So there's three left. Viper, you want to go ahead and do your turn?
Yep. I'll move to the next one and try popping it out.
Okay, system test.
Oh my gosh, I rolled a 19.
So you sort of start to interface with this thing and get a surge of energy as you fail to do exactly as Kraken told you, probably trying to rush it a little bit.
I touched the thing I wasn't supposed to touch. He says, like, make sure you don't touch this thing.
Under no circumstances should you.
Yeah.
This is the one thing you can't do. All right, back up top. So, Mammoth, you are down there now as well. Actually, I just remembered. So, if you want, you can be included in that process as well, and you can make a system test to try and pop one of these batteries free.
I suppose that's exactly what I'll do. Limping over there and just being entirely useless. I'm sorry.
Don't touch the dorsal sliver.
I only have one arm. I'm doing the best I can.
All right, back up top. Widower, you and Bren are going toe to toe with this spider mech. What do you want to do? Actually, I'll have Bren go first if you don't mind, since he's got that D6 to spend. It's good too because I rolled very high, but I rolled really high on the D6 too. So Bren kind of he sort of launches himself off of some wreckage with the sword and lands on top of this thing and like slams the sword into the hull to keep himself steady, and then like starts scrambling up the top, and you just hear him up there just ripping things out of this thing, debris and wreckage falling, point defense turrets going off trying to knock him down. You hear over the comms, "Doing everything I can to keep this thing busy. Do what you gotta do."
Kraken, Viper, how we looking? Can you salvage it?
Yes, sir. We're halfway there.
Keep up the good work. I'll see you on the other side. And I am going to command Bren to attack again.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yep, he hits again. Does 5 more damage.
Bren, I won't leave you. Keep it up. And like I'm underneath this thing. So I'm sure that like there are predetermined defenses for this as like a siege weapon, but I am doing whatever I can as a salvager to pinpoint areas of weakness, and I'm gonna attack.
Yeah.
Not so good on that one. 16 over 12.
So you again cut with the welding beam. This time don't hit anything vital, but you're doing everything you can.
Bren, I'm doing everything I can down here. It's you and me now. We gotta provide as much time for my team as possible. We've got nothing left.
Over the comms, you hear Thea. "Teddy, how's it going on over there? You still alive?"
Alive's a good way of putting it. It's about all we are.
"We've got 3 cargo holds full of refugees. We're about to bug out. The shield's going down any second now."
You don't need my permission. Get back to the Slipstar. If we can succeed, we very well may turn the tide of this war.
"Do what you gotta do. Try to get out of there alive."
Roger that.
"Teddy, thank you."
It's been a privilege and an honor.
You hear in the distance the drone of engines as the Terran freighters take off. All right. Widower, mobility test, please. Uh-oh.
I rolled a 20.
Oh, no. Okay, here we go.
What kind of 3-shot would this be if it wasn't extremely dramatic?
So with the critical failure, you're going to be taking 14 damage, and I need you to roll your reactor die as well.
I shit you not, I rolled a 1. And that totally fucking overkills me.
Let's roll on the disabled mecha table. See what happens.
Where is the disabled Lucatable?
It is on page 9.
Page 9. All right, moment of truth. Rolled a 4, so I have disadvantage on all attacks with my targeting systems malfunctioning.
Yeah, so I imagine that the spider mech, as it pummels you with its leg and it gets you down on the ground, it actually crushes like the sensors in your mech's head that you use to like look out of the HUD.
I'm gonna go as far as to say that it destroys my mech's head. Like, it goes to like slam down on top of me, and I just narrowly is maybe a good way of putting it, but my head was just smashed into the ground.
It gets your head into the ground, and then that piston fires, and the HUD just goes static as all of your optics go dead.
Members of the Condor, this is your captain, your commander, and leader. It's been an honor. Get that teleporter out of here.
There's a pause in the comms, then static, and then you hear, "You're not allowed to die yet, Commander." The Condor flies in, its turrets slamming into the side of this spider mech. The Condor lands beside you. You hear a clank on the comms. "Get your ass up and get in here. We're leaving." "Commander, sir."
I almost picture like I can't see like the visual inputs of Clank on the screen because it's just kind of like white noise and static. There's like blood is trickling down my face from just the trauma of my chassis being smashed. And nobody can hear it. There's just Teddy's laughing. Clank, you son of a bitch.
Down below, 3 batteries remain. We are out of initiative right now, but you guys need to make some system tests to try and pull those last batteries.
I succeeded this time.
You pull one.
Me too.
And I did as well.
Yes.
So as you pull the last battery, the platform begins powering up, and you see things are beginning to warp in. You pull the last battery, and there's like this explosion of light. And as the light fades, you see that there's like half mechs standing there on the teleporter that got like half teleported in before you pulled that last battery, and they just like topple and fall. Clank over the comm says, "I'm leaving in 20 seconds whether you're here or not. The shield's about to go down, and this city's gonna be a crater."
We gotta move, people. Let's go. Kraken will pick up 2 in his giant mech arms and begin running.
You get to the pit that you drop down into, and you see that there are cables dangling down, and looking up you see the Condor just hovering there with tow cables coming down to pick you up.
Yeah, I'll attach the things, and I'll give like one brief look back at the chamber and all of the amazing information that could be there and the things that we could learn, and then like shake my head and like punch to the keyboard again, and get on the gunship.
You all get aboard. Clank punches it as soon as the mechs are safe inside the pod. You take off. You see beneath you the spider mech going down. Bren on top of it, his sword in its head as it plows into the ground, explosions going off. As you're flying, the dome shield goes down, flickers and dies. You're almost in orbit by the time the barrage overtakes the planet of Viridin. Beneath you, you see these blossoming red splotches as the planet is glassed. The city that you were in is likely just rubble now. Your Twitch drive gets you back to Slipstar. There, you're greeted with cheers, applause, as you unload unreckonable alien tech. Hank greets you, clapping you on the shoulder, Kraken, and says, "Goddamn, it is good to see you."
And you. I have a lot to tell you.
"Drinks first," he says.
Please.
Over the next few days, over the next few weeks, you calibrate the shields of Slipstar using this new technology, making it impossible for the Aeons to warp inside. They make a few attempts. They even drop some cruisers in. But they get a rude welcome from the CK-90s now operational on the surface. Your mechs, you're not sure if it's even worth it to repair them. A couple of them are so far gone. But you find yourselves in that makeshift ready room aboard Slipstar. The four of you getting ready to go out on some salvage mission, probably the first one you've had since that day on Viridin. First one you've had since the eclipse, since the Gyre was destroyed, since the life you knew was upturned. You have a few moments to speak to one another before going out on this mission. What do you say?
I'm taking good odds on Crimson losing another arm.
Well,
I'll put
Mech
200
has
credits on
4
that.
arms, so I can
double.
as many as I need.
I bet it's going to be the same one. She can't keep that thing out of danger.
What do you say? You guys ready to make some credits?
Bad time.
About time.
The Condor lifts off from the hangar, jetting out of Slipstar, and on the side of it, a new decal, the emblem of the Terran Collective, emblazoned across the side. The ship slips away using its Twitch drive, off for new salvage and credits to be made. But the war is just beginning. And that is where we will end our campaign. I just want to take a moment to thank these amazing players for joining me on this Mecha Hack mini campaign. It was so much fun. I just had a blast running this game. And I also want to thank Jake over at Mini Terrain Domain for making this dope-ass overlay that we got to play on. I'm definitely going to find another use for this. I'm going to have to run more Mecha Hack games so I can use the overlay more. So I'm going to throw it over to these guys to do any closing words, any plugs that they have. And then we're going to go ahead and call it a night. So we're going to go from my left to right and start with the intrepid commander, Galvin Widower, played by Baron.
I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. I am filled with emotion right now. I'm without getting too over the top. A sincere thanks to the crew of the Condor. Couldn't have done it without you. No captain is worth anything without solid members to hold him up. And thank you, Matt, for giving me the opportunity to play. And God damn it, we're the best damn scrapping crew this side of the slip.
That's right. All right, Viper Midnight, played by Karen.
I'm Karen. I have the YouTube channel Myth and Gears. This was so much fun. I enjoyed this whole experience from day one right on through. So much fun to play in a mech suit and just blow stuff up and welding torch and so thank you so much for having me on here. It was so much fun, and thank you to all of you players. It was a blast. Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure. All right, Kraken Omega, played by Lloyd.
Lloyd, I run the channel YLDM, kicking off 2 new campaigns there, one set in Westeros and one set in Rokugan, starting very soon. This was great. It's really good. It's like, yeah, like the scrapping business is really, really satisfying. When you kill something and stealing stuff is very, very satisfying. I really like playing the tech guy. I really want to talk that alien for like an hour. It was great. At the alien tech, it was really fun. Yeah, thanks, man.
Absolutely. All right, Crimson Mammoth, played by Philip. Crimson Armless Mammoth, played by Philip.
That's right. Thanks for saving my butt twice, crew. Appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you. And so, yeah, thanks for letting me play. This was a great game.
Absolutely. And if anyone's interested in checking out the Mecha Hack, all the links are down in the description. Definitely give it a look. Yeah, this was a whole lot of fun. Thank you everyone for joining, for watching, and thank players for playing with me. Yeah, look at everyone. Oh, everyone has their copy. Yeah, except for Lloyd.
I'm not in my house.
Because he's not in his house. He lives in the bath now.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone. Take care. Happy gaming all. And we'll see you next